Welcome to Innovators Unscripted with Index Exchange, where we sit down with key leaders in the industry and discuss the future of how everything is going to evolve. I'm Michael Richardson, VP of Product here at Index.
And I'm Scott Ensign. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Butler, where I lead our strategy and media practice.
Awesome. I'm excited to get going.
All right.
Are you ready?
I am so ready.
You sure?
I could not be more sure.
Okay, let's do it. How is programmatic innovation reshaping what's possible on the open internet?
I think it's a really exciting time to be in programmatic. And part of my remit at Butler is the activation team, which is inclusive, of course, of programmatic. And I think more than any other channel or method of buying, programmatic is really primed for a huge revolution in the way we think about it, the way we execute it, optimize it, measure it, et cetera. And I think the innovation, it sounds a little bit trite to say AI or agentic, but we are seeing so many ways that those technologies and those really, really fast-moving progressive technologies can solve the problems that have been real sticking points in our industry for a long time. So we're very leaned into that, and we see huge opportunities for efficiency, for new products, for effectiveness. So I think, honestly, I've always loved the programmatic space, but I think right now is probably the most exciting time to be involved with it.
So that complexity that comes with programmatic, being able to manage that really easily with new technology.
Yeah, we say at Butler Till all the time, our job with our clients, because I remind my teams probably more than they like, that the work that we do in media is 100% of our day and probably 5% of our clients' day. So they don't want this tangled they don't want this ball of yarn handed to them to play with. What they want is for us to help them make the complex clear, and that's what we're focused on. I think technology like this has so much promise to really help us fulfill on that.
Awesome. Next question.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. What's your favorite AI use case today, either personally or professionally?
I feel like I should go with a professional one. There's so many things that we're testing and playing around with. I think very related to this conversation in the space, though, one of the things that I think is the coolest is we're building agents for a bunch of stuff, but we have built a specific agent for supply path optimization. And the work that agent is able to do is mind-boggling. Like how quickly it can find you what is the best path for this specific impression opportunity across all of the supply that we're buying, across all of the SSPs. Of course, Index always wins. And come back to you with insights. And so we can have a trader come in the morning with an inbox full of supply path optimization insights ready to go. And that's just helping us get there so much faster on behalf of our clients. It's really cool.
That's awesome. What opportunities open up for buyers when decisioning moves to the sell side, closer to the impression?
Yeah, I think you get, in the best of cases, you get an unfiltered view of what supply is available to you. And there's always going to be, the internet's a big place. There's always going to be some level of filter on that through any buying platform. I think the more insight that we can have as a media agency, our number one job is to understand what we're buying on behalf of our clients. We are their agent in the marketplace. So I think that just opens up so many opportunities for us to do things like really, really smart curation, to forge better relationships with publishers. I think one of the unintended, unfortunate consequences of programmatic technology is that it has kind of driven this wedge of engineering and technology between the buy side and the sell side. So I really love the trend of the last few years where we've been able to really forge and build those relationships. And of course, the closer you are to that impression, the more direct your path is going to be. You're not going to have things like reselling and hops and obfuscated inventory for the purposes of some commercial arrangement that you're not aware of. So it really allows us to dig into high quality supply environments for our clients, which is really important for us.
Awesome. The programmatic supply chain keeps growing in complexity. Mm-hmm. How do you cut through that to buy more efficiently and transparently?
Yeah, I think that goes to some of the things that we were just talking about. I think it's really important for us as an agency, as a media agency, to have deep, direct relationships with the sell side as much as possible. So of course that includes platforms, SSPs like Index, but it also includes the publishing groups and some of the bigger publishers themselves. Like I said before, our clients are not interested in us handing them a very complex scenario. They want to understand what they're buying. They want to have kind of that shortcut to trust that we can provide to them as an agency. And so I think as much as this technology is moving really, really fast, we're still largely in a relationships business. So the way that we've found to cut through that complexity as much as possible is to create, even though we're using the best technology that the marketplace has to offer, we can still have those direct, really accretive relationships with our sell side partners, and that's been our approach, which has been working really well.
Awesome. In one word, tricky. One word, where is programmatic headed?
Open.
Okay.
Can I say in more words?
Please.
Is that okay? I just think that the ecosystem is going to continue to open up. When you look at technology like AI and the way that it's moving, it's going to cause disruption. We all know this. We're feeling it already. I think we can all see the future where that disruption is going to accelerate. When disruption happens, power dynamics change, barriers to entry lower. So you can, I think, pretty clearly see a future where there is so much more open access for players who never had that before. For an independent agency like us, like we're of a decent size at this point, we're growing pretty fast, but we're not one of the largest agencies on the planet. And having access to all of the best stuff is really, really advantageous for us, and certainly for a lot of players and agencies that are a lot smaller. So I see a future where we're going to see a lot things that are just a lot more open, and there will be no more value propositions, or at least declining value of a proposition that is only about like, hey, we have limited access to this that we can offer you, because everyone is going to have ultimately access to the same stuff. That might be a little optimistic, but at least it is directionally, I think, where we're headed.
All right. High quality supply is what makes confident buying and stronger brand outcomes possible. Mm-hmm. How do you make sure that holds up, especially in sensitive categories like pharma?
Yeah, that's where we've been living for a long time, and pharma being more or less half of our business at this point is really, really important category for us. And quality there is super important. Those brands are very interested in and rely heavily on high-end endemic inventory. So your Healthline, WebMD type of inventory. The issue with that is that inventory is by definition scarce. Like there's only going to be so much of it. So programmatic offers us the opportunity to do things like really, really smart curation where we can package data and high quality inventory and then leverage a lot of the benefits of programmatic, the flexibility, the addressability, the measurability with the inventory to give an endemic kind of high-end, high-quality experience with kind of the best of both worlds type of approach. And that's why we were really, at Butler Till, very kind of bullish early on the concept of curation. And again, that goes back to what we were talking about before, which is getting closer to the sell side helps us do that more effectively. That's where I think curation happens best. It's where we can have conversations with publishers and publishing groups to find really what we're looking for and those opportunities that are out there for our clients that we might otherwise not know about.
Yeah, I've long thought that the two most important parts of the industry are where the attention is gathered by the consumer and then where the dollar is coming in. And so focusing on being able to manage the supply side allows you to bring those a lot more closely together.
Absolutely. And, you know, not to get philosophical about it too, but I think that there's an element of you're kind of going to get the internet that you deserve at a certain point. And so what we fund and what we monetize is what is going to be created and what we're going to put out there in the world. So I think if there is a kind of bi-directional focus on quality, it's going to make the internet work better for everyone, especially for consumers. And I think that's one of the places where our industry has lost the script a little bit, is that we have focused so much on things like raw number efficiency, per unit cost. And of course, that is going to proliferate low quality inventory that is not really good for anyone. It's certainly not good for consumers. So I think a focus on quality on both ends of that spectrum is going to help improve our space altogether, which is another thing I'm so excited about with where technology is moving. Because if we can point that technology at those problems in the right way, then I think we have a chance to do some really cool stuff.
Comes about incentives. All
Absolutely.
right. What would you be doing if you weren't in advertising?
I probably would be operating a retro arcade somewhere.
Very nice.
In fact, I kind of built one in my basement with my kids during COVID. So
Incredible.
I would make no money doing it, I'm sure, but that would be a
Talking
passion project.
asteroids, pinball.
All of it. Yes. Love pinball, old pinball machines, all those old games. I would say like 80s, 90s arcade games, anything from that era. That's my jam.
I have follow-up questions that
Yes.
I'm going to save for later.
Okay.
Okay. Last card. What's one innovation people will take for granted in 2 years?
I think the level of manual work that's going to be removed from our day-to-day jobs, people are not really, I don't think we can really wrap our heads around what that's going to look like yet. I talked a little bit about the SPO agent earlier. And of course, in that case, that's doing things. Yes, it's doing some work that people were doing manually, but it's also doing it faster. It's doing it more often. It's doing it in greater detail. It's doing it ultimately more effectively. And that doesn't mean we don't have people looking at SPO. It just means now all of a sudden, like we've strapped a jetpack onto that person and let them loose. So I think in a couple of years, we'll look back and say, oh my God, do you remember when we used to pull that report like down into Excel and someone was looking at it? Do you remember when we would email RFPs to like 10 publishers and wait 2 days, wait for someone on their side to get back from vacation and to look at it and to send us a response, and then we would evaluate that, and based on which one was nicest to us? That's not how we buy media, Butler. It's a joke, but like a very subjective kind of manual way of that process. And that's going to happen in seconds, not in days in the future. And I think we will look back in a couple of years and chuckle about the way that we used to do things.
I think there's already some of those things that we've forgotten. Fax machines, wedding signatures,
Absolutely.
T9 texting.
I'm happy to see a lot of that go.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time. This was Innovators Unscripted with Index Exchange.